Welcome to the Tracy Show. Hold on to your seats because this is a ride. Did the government poison a city inside the Army's secret tests in St. Louis? During the Cold War, the U.S. government carried out experiments on Americans without knowledge or consent. Former residents of a St. Louis neighborhood demand to know what the Army sprayed in their neighborhood. Army admits it sprayed a chemical containing cadmium, a carcinogen. One researcher asks, did they also spray radiation? In the summer of 1953 in St. Louis, the heat beat down on the brick facade of Pruitt-Igoe, the air heavy, clinging to 33 concrete towers that almost seemed to hold the sun captive. Children played outside, the shouts of their games echoing between high rises, and then the fog would come. Quote, my government used me like a guinea pig. Let's get into Area 51 veterans who are seeking justice for contamination, cancer.
Now, a News Nation exclusive investigation into a secret government experiment that was carried out in St. Louis. Residents tell us they still remember a mysterious fog. Children would run through it. Mothers would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers. The United States Army now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people. Critics say this was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. News Nation's Natasha Zubez investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime, it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick. And it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And they had masks and goggles.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river. The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed large area coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada.
spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well.
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my 2 older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
But that's not even the whole story, as residents demand to know what else could have been in that spray.
They have not come clean with what was in there.
Do you believe that it was just zinc cadmium sulfide in that spray?
No.
We go to the source, a researcher who has spent decades declassifying government documents about these tests.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis? I believe that they did.
And the government's surprising response to our request to declassify information.
I mean, what the hell?
Plus, renowned activist Erin Brockovich weighs in.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
It sure looks that way.
The residents are asking for an apology from the government for being experimented on. They are asking for compensation for health studies for themselves and their children. They're also asking for transparency. They want the government to release all the documents about the spraying. So, Elizabeth, tomorrow night on your show, we will go on a journey to try to declassify the one government document that a key researcher tells us she has never been able to expose. And we take the investigation to Erin Brockovich. For the residents still here, still fighting, the question is whether they will get any answers before it's too late.
Martino Taylor said her research reveals the very men who designed the St. Louis tests were experts in radiological warfare. General William Creasy led the Army Chemical Corps, the branch leading America's secret radiological weapons during the Cold War. He brought on Philip Layton, his top chemist, who was the Army's leading authority on using radioactive particles in aerosol form, fog-like clouds designed to drift over enemy terrain. There are also secrets hidden in plain sight. Martino Taylor's work revealed chilling details from that era when the U.S. government conducted human experiments on its own people in the name of preparing for the Soviet threat. American children in state-run institutions like the Frenal School were fed radioactive oatmeal as part of studies by MIT, sponsored by the Atomic Energy Commission. The children, some of them orphans, were told they'd join a science club and were promised a quart of milk a day, a trip to a baseball game, a trip to the beach, a copy of the 1994 congressional hearing shows those children, now grown, describing being told the oatmeal was just vitamins and recalling the health problems that followed: lumps on my arms, my stomach. Pregnant women were also unknowingly given radioactive iron at top hospitals in Tennessee and California to study how radiation crossed the placenta. Some later reported miscarriage, illness, or birth defects. A class action lawsuit resulted in a settlement in the 1990s. Quote, "We know that they were given radioactive cocktails to pregnant women. We know that they were feeding radioactive oatmeal to children in state schools. They've admitted to those things, and they won't release the material related to St. Louis," said Martino Taylor. This is quite sickening to me. The government is sickening to me. This world is sickening to me. We have got to read and do our history. This is one part of this article that gets me. This is the most harsh part. The program that wasn't intended to be found. It wasn't intended to be found. Martino Taylor worked to declassify previously hidden documents, including Army records, and synthesize public records and articles regarding that era of U.S. government testing. Quote, "That was one of the things that really stood out to me in all of the radiological weapons experiments, that there were layers of secrecy. It was an offshoot of the atomic bomb project, and a lot of the people who were working in the early formation of the radiological weapons experiment were involved in the atomic bomb project. It was a 4-pronged program. They wanted to do ingestion, inhalation, injection, and full body scan on humans," she said. This is a very long article. It can be found in News Nation, or find your News Nation channel. I would love to keep up with this story to find out if they are going to get compensated, because I am so sure that there is so much more to this story. Guys, please don't forget to like, please share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Also, do me a big favor and leave in the comments if you have ever heard of this story, if you know anything about this story, if you've heard of this going on in any other urban areas or anywhere. Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know of some Black history stories that you would love to hear. And it doesn't have to be Black, just plain history. Okay? Let me know. In the next video. Peace out. I appreciate all my new subscribers. I see y'all coming on in. Come on in, you know the go. Virgo. The Virgo needs, come on, 1,000 subscribers. Come on, 1,000 subscribers for her birthday. She does. Her birthday is coming up, and since it's Virgo time, come pretty funny.